activity and downwarping of undercurrents. So under the eras, we said we have the Precambrian and then the Cambrian era. We have the Paleozoic era. The Precambrian era, we have very little or no records of in terms of mammals and other animals coming into being. Then the Cambrian era is where we started observing some level of what we call fossil growth, fossilification, fossil growth, or fossiliferous era. We call it the fossiliferous era. We have the Mesozoic era, we have the Cainozoic era. We made mention of all this. Those who were present do recall all this. And then when we come to Ghana, the geological formations, when we come to Ghana, we said we have, per the history of our rocks, we have what we call the Dahomean rock formation, that it is the same as the oldest rock that ever existed on the land of Ghana. We call it the Dahomean. After the Dahomean, we also have what we call the Brimian, and then we have what we call the Taquian, and then we have what we call the Equapem Togo ranges, and then even we have further ones, we have what we call the Acranian rock formation. Within the various parts of Ghana, our one credit hour that we had last Wednesday, 7 p.m., we said the Dahomean rock formation can mostly be found at the southeastern part of Ghana, that is the Ningo area. The base is mainly of the Dahomean formation. And then the Brimian, we said the Brimian formation forms about 3/4 of the entire middle belt rock formation. The entire middle belt, we are looking at Ashanti region, we are looking at eastern region, we are looking at part of central region, we are looking at the inland of western region, we are looking at the Hafo region, we are looking at the Bono region, we are looking at Bono East region. This constitutes, and then Western North region. The rock formation over there, about 75% of the rock formation over there are Brimian rock formation. The names, as you see it, Dahomean, Brimian, Taquian, Acranian rock formation. We call it so based on where these rocks were experimented and identified. The Brimian formation was discovered within the Brim River in eastern region, the Brim River. So please take note of that. Today, yeah, we have the Dahomean and the various associated rocks, types of rocks, we made mention of it. We said the Taquian rock formation was formed from the breakdown, weathering, and mass wasting of the Brimian rocks. The Brimian rocks got weathered and then transported and filled low-lying areas to form what we call the Taquian formation. So by default, Taquian formation is mainly sedimentary rock formation. So when within the Taquian basin, within the Taquian region, the typical type of rocks we will find there are either sedimentary rocks or metamorphic rocks. Sedimentary rocks form from sedimentation, form from the weathering and mass wasting and subsequent sedimentation processes that has caused to form sedimentary rocks, or those sedimentary rocks has undergone existing heat and pressure, or both heat and pressure, to form its associated metamorphic rocks. we said all of this, we discussed that today, what having known the geological formation, we now zoom into the relief of Ghana. The relief of Ghana, we are looking at the various elevations we have in Ghana, the lowlands, the highlands. Where can we find what? Where can we find what? That is the relief of Ghana. So, under the relief of Ghana, more than half of Ghana is made up of series of plateau surfaces. When we say a plateau surface, the moment it's a plateau surface, it means that more than half of the total surface of Ghana, we are sitting on highlands. More than half of the total surface of Ghana, we are sitting on highlands. Please, Yalbedu, mute. Yalbedu, mute your microphone.
You beat them, my dad is creating you. Beat you.
You beat me.
Yalbedu. So we are saying that more than half of the total land of Ghana in terms of relief is highlands. That is it. It's highlands. We are on higher elevation. As with reference to the sea level, we are on higher elevation. Plateau. Elevation with what? Flat tops. Plateaus, that is elevations. Highlands with what? A flat tops. A relatively flat top is called a plateau. So when we say half of Ghana is made up of a series of plateau surfaces with different height, we are saying that more than 50% of the total land surface or the total geological formation of Ghana is highland, with about less than 50% being the Bhutan Basin, being a low-lying area. Now, these plateaus was resulted from long period of denudation that has helped to reduce vast areas of uniform height with few insetbecks. Let me explain this point. This word, denudation, please, when we say denudation, that is the geomorphological processes, mostly that of external geomorphic process that tends to wash away topsoils, and reduce height of an existing elevation. And a typical example of this external geomorphic processes, we are looking at weathering of rocks, that's breaking down of rocks. We are looking at mass wasting. Mass wasting, that's the movement of weathered particles from a higher elevations to a lower elevations. We are looking at the activities of agents of mass wasting. We are looking at that of in our part of the world. You'll be looking much into the activities of water. When it rains, you will see that the runoff, the water that will be running on the surface of the earth will be carrying a lot of dust particles, rock particles. Those rock particles are carried from places of higher elevation, and it will be depositing them at places of lower elevation. So as you progress, you may see some landforms that we call depositional landforms. As the rocks, the agents of denudation carries these rocks from higher elevations to a lower elevations, it will be forming another landforms at the lower elevation. Those landforms are what we call the depositional landforms. If necessary, you may come across it. When we say in-cell belts, you know, while denudation continues to take place, rock particles that are softer will be washed away, and it will be leaving other rock particles. It will leave some other rock particles behind. Those rock particles that it leaves behind forms an elevation, and that elevation is what we call in-cell belt. That's isolated highlands. Let me see if I can get a picture of an isolated highland for you to observe. Let me see from here. Let me see. Can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But the picture have not come.
Oh, take your time. Okay.
I'll see a hat of.
Have you seen this elevation?
I can see.
You can see. Okay, let me see if I can. Have you seen this rock?
No.
No.
Please.
But can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Please say
if you
the
can
screen
see
is
my
clear.
screen. The screen is what?
Sorry, but there is no rock.
Okay, hold on, let me, because we
Yeah,
need
we
to
can
do
see your
this with
screen.
evidence. We need to do this with evidence. I have the picture here. I need to show you the evidence so that can you see this rock?
Sir, please. No,
Can you see it?
no, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, then let me put it
No
in
rock is
in the
appearing.
class page. Okay, so I'm putting it on the class page.
Okay, sir.
Yes, so I'm putting it on the class page so that you. Have you now it is on the class page. It's on the class page. Have you seen it?
Oh, what kind?
Why is it that they are saying that I cannot share my screen again? Please let me disconnect and connect again.
All right, sir.
Please, can we continue? Can we make progress?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So
Yes, sir.
the picture you seen on the distance is an inserbec that is found at Kwautafo. We call it the Bruku Shrine at Kwautafo. When you go to Kwautafo, you see those rocks. You see that the place has undergone a lot of mass wasting. It has undergone a lot of denudational activity. When it rains, it washes some of the particles down. It will continuously wash some of the particles down. When the rocks, whether mass wasting takes place, there's always a rock fall, debris fall, and it keeps on reducing the total size. So over time, it will be left with the hard, resistive ones that can easily not be broken down or be washed away standing. And that ones are what we call the inserbex or hills of hard resistant rock standing above the plateau surface. So that is one. The rock of the ancient Brimian and Taquarian Fold mountains have been eroded, but the much younger Aquapim Togo range series remains as highland ranges that stretches from the west of Accra to the east of Republic of Togo. So those highlands that you see at Abri, you see at Nkoko, that stretches through Volta region where we have Mount Afeja when you go to Akwapima Krupon, all those highlands over there that you see it are part of the Akwapim Togo series. We also call it the Akwapim Togo ranges. When you add the one at the northern part of Volta region where we have the Buem, you call it Akwapim Buem Togo ranges. It extends to the Republic of Togo. So, and the relief of Ghana, know that first, about more than 50% of Ghana total land surface is on higher elevation. That is a plateau surface. And this plateau surface has undergone denudational activities. That's processes that reduces elevations of highlands into become lowlands. The resistive ones that cannot be easily be eroded or weathered is still standing. forming icebergs. The rest is also forming what we call the Bhutan sandstone basin. Bhutan sandstone basin. This Bhutan sandstone basin, when we progress, I will show you where it is located and why it is called a sandstone. The moment you hear the word sandstone, it means that the type of rock is sedimentary rock. Whatever type of rock there is sedimentary rock. It is formed from a parent rock. Now, let's look at the various segments. Let's look at the various segments. We have the coastal plains. We have the coastal plains, which stretch from the southwest to southeast of Ghana, from Elebo to Aflao, southwest Elebo to Aflao. That total stretch is what they call the coastal plains. And these coastal plains, in terms of elevation, please take notes. If you have pen and paper, write this thing down. That this level of the mean sea level, the mean sea level is the reference point for measuring elevations of the Earth's surface. The mean sea level is the reference point for the measurement of elevations above sea level. So when you see that we are saying that we are on elevation 453 meters, elevation 453 meters it means that when you compare where you are standing, the height at which you are standing, when you compare it to the mean sea level, you are 453 meters above the sea level. You are 453 meters above the sea level. So please take note of that. We have the coastal plains. The coastal plains stretches from the coast to about 24 kilometers north. 24 kilometers north of Accra to 130 kilometers in the east and 100 kilometers to the west. This is it. Please let me connect my battery. Thank you. So see, 24 kilometers north of Accra. So north of Accra, when you take the Ghana map and you see where Accra is, and you orient the map to the North Pole, the coastal plains that we are talking of, it continues from the sea, the continental shelf, and extends 24 kilometers inland. So if 24 kilometers is, say, from Osu or Choko or Dansoma, where we have the or Tashi, and then you move inward, if 24 kilometers hits like Pukwase, then it means that northwards, the coastal plain extends from Osu, where we have the sea, to Pukwase. That forms 24 kilometers. If you do the measurement and there's where it hits. Then when you take 130 kilometers to the west, so to the west of Accra, or to the east of Accra, we are looking at Adan area. To the east of Accra, we are looking at Adan area. We are looking at Shai Osudoku area. That falls eastern part of Accra. That one, the coastal plains extends as far as about 130 kilometers inland from the sea, from Adan, where we have the sea, where the Volta River hits the sea. From Adan area, where we have the sea, you working towards inland, towards the north, working towards inland, you will travel about 130 kilometers before you transition from the coastal plain. So in between the sea and 130 kilometers inland or northwards forms part of the coastal plains of Ghana. And when you take the west we are looking at, if you are in Cape Coast, we are looking at Cape Coast, we are looking at Takoradi, we are looking at Kaswa. All these are parts west. We are looking at Winneba, Mankesim areas, Awutu Senya area, Bruku areas. All these are western part of Accra. That one, the coastal plains, extends northwards. Please, this is the Ghana map. This is the Ghana map. So this is Accra. This is Accra. And for you to be able to determine the coastal plains of Accra, northwards, that's you are moving towards the north. Well, if you are in Accra here, you are moving towards the north, you go like 24 kilometers inland towards the north. 24 kilometers is where you can have your coastal plain. When you move eastwards, the eastward, that's Adan area, Ningo area, you are going to move like 130 kilometers. You are going to move like can you see my cursor? You are going to move like 130 kilometers. You still be within the coastal plains. You still be within the coastal plains. And when you are westward, either at Azim, Cape Coast, Takoradi, Mankesim, Winneba area, you are going to move almost you are going to move almost 100 kilometers north, 100 kilometers inland northwards. So if here is 130, here is 40, so the line can be like this. From here to here is 130, then it cascades down to 24 kilometers, then it falls in between to up to 100 kilometers. All this part forms the coastal plains of Ghana. Please, in case you don't understand anything, kindly type it at the message. I'll be reading it. Please, telling someone to add you to the class, the timetable that you use, the link that you use, the timetable, there is a class WhatsApp group there that you just need to connect, click on it, and you will be added to the page automatically. So we now know the coastal plains. Now let's come to the interior. That's South Asante. The interior, South Asante, uplands. South Asante, then we will be looking at, when you look at the southern part of Ashanti region, you will be looking at Kade area, you will be looking at Akemodan area, you will be looking at, because Ashanti region is somewhere here, Ashanti region is somewhere here, Ashanti region is somewhere here. So southern part of Ashanti region, you'll be looking at this area where we have many part of it. We have eastern region occupying a lot of these areas. So under the south of Ashanti, we have what we call the interior deserted plateaus north of the coastal plains. Please, it's very unfortunate that the book is not displaying that term properly. I drew with the cursor that here's 130 kilometers. Then it will be falling down because Accra, you need to move 24 kilometers. And then it will be extending small to 100 kilometers to the west. And then this section forms the coastal plains. North of the coastal plains is the interior. North of the coastal plain, that's on top of the coastal plains, is what we have the interior uplands. The interior uplands. The interior uplands, please, the coastal plains rises above 150 meters, except some inserts that occasionally rises above 150 meters. The plains are generally below 150 meters above mean sea level. So on the average, the elevation with reference to the sea level, the elevation, the height of those areas, the coastal plains, with reference to the sea level, is always below 150 meters. It's always below 150 meters. It means that the elevation is very low compared to the level of the sea. Now, with the interior, that's the Mampong and Praeso area, Koum Praeso, Koum Mampong area. That forms southern part of Ashanti. The land here rises up from 150 meters from the south to 600 meters along the Mampong Praeso Ridge. You know, the Mampong Praeso Ridge, it stretches from Kowu Mampong, Kowu Tafo, Kowu Betifi area. You will see those highlands, those that are there. When you are in the car going to Kumasi, you see the highlands at Nkoko area. Those Nkoko area, all these highlands are the Kowu areas. It goes straight interior. It will be walking through the Tafo enclave, and then it will hit Asante Achemagogo area. Anyone who knows Asante Achemagogo, you will see that all the places are elevation, with Asante Achem being in the lowland area. And then it will continue all this, the plateau, the ridge continues till you hit Mampong, where we call it, the Asante people call it Mampong Krum. It's a ridge, all the ridges from Mampong to Mpraeso. You can see that stretch. Whosoever knows there will attest to the fact that we have that chain of mountains over there, that chain of ridges over there. That is what we call the interior uplands. Interior uplands. And it forms its elevation with reference to the sea level. Its elevation with reference to the sea level ranges from 150 meters above the sea level, that's from the south, to 600 meters along the ridges. The Mampong and Praeso Ridge, now we are very specific. North of the interior upland and south of the Volta Basin. This is the Volta Basin. I wish this was face to face. The Volta Basin stretches from here. I will see this Lake Volta, this, all the tributaries, where you see the river bodies joining each other here, all the tributaries over here form the Volta Basin or the Volta catchment area. It's called the Volta Basin. The entire Volta Basin, south north of the interior uplands, that's the Mampong Ridges, north of it, and south of the Volta Basin is the northeast to south, the northwest to southeast stretch of the Mampong Impresso Ridge, which covers over 300 meters above sea level. Let me see if this map did not come with that. Okay, you can see that. You can see that this is the Mampong Ridges. This is the Mampong Ridges. You can see that. Let me widen the distance so you can see it properly. This is the Mampong. This is the Mampong Ridges where you see the elevation. So over here, and it is within these areas that you find Kwau Mampong, Kwau, you find Mpraeso, you find Nkoko, you find Betifi, all those areas within this same area. So you see the Volta Basin, that is the south, the southwest of the Volta Basin. Southwest. This is the Volta Basin, and this is the southern part of the Volta Basin, and this is the western part of the Volta Basin. This is the eastern part. So the southwestern part of the Volta Basin is where you can find the Mampong Ranges. You can see it from the where I'm moving the cursors. You can see it. That's why you say that from the north of the interior uplands and south of the Volta Basin to the northwest and southeast of the map is the entire area stretches in terms of elevation. So please, when you see this map, and let's do some little interpretation over here. Let's do some little interpretation over here. Where you see the yellowish areas, where you see the yellowish areas, where you see the yellowish areas, you see that the yellowish areas dominate. All the yellowish areas are high elevation areas. All the yellowish areas are high elevation areas. And from the start, we said that about 50% of the total land surface is a plateau surface. It's a plateau, and we say that plateau is what? Highlands, with less than 50% being a low-lying area. And you see the Volta Basin. When you see the Volta Basin, you see more yellow falling outside the Volta Basin than when you enter into the Volta Basin. When you look into the Volta Basin, where you have a lot of the blue, indicating that those areas do not have higher elevations than those with yellowish areas. The yellowish areas have a lot of higher elevations. And when you see the coastal area, we say that the coastal areas do not have much highlands because the elevation there always falls below 150 meters. That's why you don't see the yellowish mist covering most of these areas. So please take note of that. Then let's come to the Akwapim Togo Mountains. The Akwapim Togo Mountains, I have shown you where the Akwapim Togo Mountains is found. You know where Akwapim Mampong is. You know where Akwapim, this Abri Islands stretching, I think, through so many areas. Stretching through so many areas, going through Volta region, So I will see the elevation. This is the elevation. I will see the elevation, highlands areas. This is the Akwapim Togo. It moves from here, it continues along, and then it enters Togo. It continues along and then it enters Togo. That forms the Akwapim Togo ranges. And then with the Akwapim Togo ranges, it rises from 300 meters above mean sea level to over 600 meters above mean sea levels. Then you come to the Savannah Highlands. You come to the Savannah Highlands. From the Mampong-Praeso ridges and running north, from the Mampong-Praeso ridges and running north along the Côte d'Ivoire border are the Savannah Highlands. With this starts from Bamboy. You know, Bamboy is after Bunahafo area, is after Bunahafo area. When you hit the Savannah area, there is where you have the Bamboy, but we have Bamboy in the start from the Bamboy in the south through Wa and Laura in the northeast. You know, Wa and Laura is in northeast. Tutumu, Bogatanga, Boko, and Gambaga to the northwest and then to the east. You know that Tumu, Bolega, Boko, and Gambaga can be found at where? Northeastern part of Ghana. Wa and then Laura is found at the northwestern part of Ghana. So from Bamboy extending through to Togo. So from Bamboy this is Côte d'Ivoire border. All this elevation, all these stretches, all these highlands that you see. I know you've heard of what we call the Gambaga escarpment. All these highlands that you find over here forms parts of the Savannah Highlands. So places that are more dominant, the Tumu, the Bogatanga, Boko, Gambaga, the elevations rises from 150 meters above mean sea level to over 500 meters above mean sea level. Then the Volta lowlands. The Volta lowlands. You can clearly see, I have said, you can clearly see where the lowlands can be found. When you look at the map, you can see where you can find some lowlands, which is not marked. It's not marked with yellowish, but more or less like in terms of intensity, color intensity, it has a low yellow intensity than this higher intensity, yellowish intensities. So those areas that you find low lying areas is not deep as that of these areas that are deep. We are looking at the Volta lowlands. The Volta lowlands. This is Mount Alfaja too. Hammered in between highlands is the Volta lowland, which stretches from the southeast to the northwest, southeast to the northwest in the interior. So let's see southeast. This is the southern part. This is the southern part. And then the eastern part of the south is here. So the southeast here all forms low-lying areas, the Bhutan low-lying areas. To the northwest, as you extend to the north and you extend to the western part of it, all these forms parts of the Volta low-lying area. The Volta low-lying area. The Volta low-lying area stretches from, like you said, except some isolated hills that rise above 250 meters up, that rise above 250 meters above sea level, the land lies below sea level. The land lies below sea level. As we progress, you will know more of it. Now let's look at the physiological regions of Ghana. Please take note, this is physiological regions. Physiological regions of Ghana. There are 5 recognized physiological regions. 5. There are 5. They are: 1, the coastal plains, we have discussed that already. The plateau of southwest. This is the south, and this is the western part of the south. The plateau of the southwest. That's the forest deserted plateau. The plateau of the north and northeast. That's the Savannah Highlands, where the Bamboy Lola area. Then the Bhutan Sandstone Basin, and the ridges and escarpment bordering the Bhutan Sandstone Basin. So now the coastal plains. In terms of the physiological areas, we've already discussed the coastal plains, that it starts from the south to the eastern. From Accra, it lies the eastern part of Accra, and it enters about 130 kilometers. We've already discussed that. If you are in Accra, that's about 24 kilometers. We've already discussed that. If you are the western part of Accra, that's about 100 kilometers inland or northward. We've already discussed that. But let's see these areas. The coastal plains, we said, in terms of elevation, it's about 75 meters above sea level. It's about 75 kilometers above sea level. It means that the height is that low. The height is very low. We don't have much highlands or higher elevations over there. And where are these places? We have the Shai, we have the Krobo, the Somenya area, we have the Ningo area, we have the Osudoku. But what we popularly know is the Shai Osudoku Hills. Then the Shai Hills, if you're in Accra, you hear Shai Hills. It all form part of the coastal plains. See where the sea is and see where the Shai, where Somenya is, in terms of Ningo, in terms of Somenya, the Krobo people, where they are. That's why we are saying that it extends about 130 kilometers from the south inwards. 130 kilometers from the south inwards or northwards. So know the places. The coastal plains is where we have the Shai, Osudoku, Ningo areas. These areas, we are looking at the coastal plains. These areas are parts. We are looking at the coastal plains. These areas are parts. All these areas are part of the coastal plains. Somenya is somewhere within this area. Now, Keta, because the place is a low-lying area, and some places are even below the mean sea level. A typical example is Keta. When you look at the elevation of Keta, Keta is already lying below the sea level. Keta is almost lying below the sea level. In places such as Keta, the land is actually below, yes, hence are liable to periodic flooding. That's why you see a lot of flooding over there. The moment there's high tide, the water runs into people's homes because they are already lying below the sea level. The coastline between Accra and Sango Lagoon is cliff. The Sango Lagoon, that is when we are going to Pram, where the Magdan, they have this Adan area, when they have the Sango salt, where they dig a lot of salt. I don't know whether you know those places. Adan you call it Adango. Those who sell the salt. We have Adan salt. From Accra to that area, Dominion stretching to those areas, it's a cliff. When we say a cliff, it means that we don't have much continental shelf over there. We don't have much continental shelf. The land stands stiff rather than being a gradual insertion into the sea. Now, further east, the coast is strewn with sandbars and several lagoons, the largest being the Kita Lagoon. There's a delta at the mouth of the River Volta. There's a delta at the mouth of River Volta. So take note of that. You know the Kita Lagoon. Lagoons are places where water settles before it gradually enters into the sea. Recently, you see that they are demolishing a lot of buildings at Sakumono areas, at Chado areas, where we have the Pishi Lagoon and then the Sakumono Lagoon, because people have filled these lagoons. These lagoons were reserved as natural habitats that all water from Accra and those areas, eastern part of Accra and some areas, eastern part of Accra settles before it gradually enters into the sea. So when you fill these lands and you build on it, when it rains, the water will not get any place to settle before it gradually enters into the sea. So you see that the runoff, the rainwater will be entering people's homes, destroying them and rendering them homeless. That's why you see a lot of demolition currently going on to reclaim the lagoon, so that when it rains, the water will have its permanent hostel or temporary residence where it will stay and gradually move into the sea. Well, let's take the west of Accra. The west of Accra, we have the highlands. The highlands, the land is undulating. When we say it's undulating, that's it rises and it falls. It rises and it falls. At the eastern part, at the western part, it rises and then it falls. It rises and then it falls. A typical note is the Legon Hills. If you are in Accra, you've heard of the East Legon Hills. That people are selling, people are down buying a lot of houses, are building a lot of buildings at East Legon Hills. East Legon Hills. East Legon Hills is eastern part of western part of Accra. Then when we are heading from, if you are going to Cape Coast, after Weja, you can see the McCarthy Hills. Those McCarthy Hills, they are all high-rising hills that are found within west of Accra, under the coastal plains. You know McCarthy Hill. McCarthy Hill, that's the eastern part. With the eastern part, we are saying that the coastline extends from the coast and it travels about 100 kilometers northward. It travels about 100 kilometers northward. And we are saying that we are having some isolated highlands that we call in-service, isolated highlands or hills. And one of those that you can find within the coastal plains in the west of Accra is McCarthy Hill, which is a popular area, and then the East Legon Hills. The Legon Hills, we call it, now people call it East Legon. Legon Hills is very popular. So they have several rock types which are common, being granites, and form most of the in-service. The granite, when you are traveling from Accra to Cape Coast, before you reach Winneba, where they sell this onion, where these onion people have come to gather themselves, you will meet some quarry areas. You will meet some quarry, even just after Akoti. You could see that previously they were doing quarrying over there. Potson area, you could see that they were doing quarrying over there. The new road that they are constructing over there, you will see that when you reach a certain time, you see that there are some big rocks that the contractors will be breaking it down. There are some big rocks that and all these rocks are mainly granite. The Makati, where they sell the onion, the quarry that you see over there are granites that they are breaking down as chippings for construction. They are all found within the coastal plains. They are all found within the coastal plains, western part of Accra. Now let's get to the plateau of the southwest. That's the deserted forest plateau. You know this Mampong escarpment that I talk of, Mampong Scarp. It forms part of the Mpraeso Mampong area, Mpraeso Mampong series. The Mpraeso Mampong series that we talk of is part of the plateaus of the southwest. Plateaus of what? The southwest. That's the deserted forest plateau. Anyone who did geography knows of the forest plateau. The area is bordered by the western part of the Mampong Scarp in the east and Volta Basin in the north. The Mampong Scarp in the east, Volta Basin in the north, the northern part of the coastal plains in the south, and Cote d'Ivoire border in the west. So, this picture is not clear. It's not clear. I wanted to show you, but it's not clear. Rock of the Precambrian, Brimian, and Taquian formation underlines the area. So, the deserted forest plateau, the Brimian, and then the Taquian, and we are saying that these Brimian rock are mainly of granites. These Brimian rock are mainly of what? Granite. That's why you see a lot of quarry after Nsawam area. You see a lot of quarrying over there. Adeso, getting to Adeso area, you see a lot of granite elevations over there. Those who know, yeah, those areas, let me check whether we can find it within this map, because the other map isn't showing it well. The Mampong Scarp is to the east, Black Volta in the north, the northern part of the coastal plain in the south, and Cote d'Ivoire borders in the west. So generally, this is the eastern part. This is the eastern part. This is Cote d'Ivoire. We have the northern part of the coastal plain. So we are looking at these areas. We are looking at these areas. These areas forms the what you call the deserted forest plateau. And these areas are mainly Brimian formation. And we said from here, for the sake of those who were not here the last time, we said from here that the Brimian rock are mainly of granites. Let me see if I can. As the Brimian formation, the typical rocks are, this is the Taquian. Associated with the Brimian formation are also extensive mass of granites. Granites are all igneous, they are igneous formation. Now let's look at the physiological area it covers. Different rocks in this physiographic region gives rise to different relief features. The land that lies over the lower Brimian rock has gentle rolling relief Hills here are round and rise above 60 to 90 meters above the broad flat valley of the Ankobra, Tano, and the Bia River. Ankobra, Tano, and Bia all can be found in where? Mainly in northern part of southern, is it southwestern part? No, that's the western part of Ashanti, and then most part of western region, where we have the Bia River, the Tano River, and then the Ankobra River. Also, certain part of central region, the Dentra areas. On other hand, those made up of upper Birimian rocks rise to 240 meters and more. Example of these are the Munsi, that's the 450 meters, Esuakwa, 484, Krokwa, which is 509, Banda, which is 555 meters, Bonsa, which is 640. Bonsa can be found at where? Within the Takwa stretch area. That's where you can find Bonsa. We also, that's 693 meters. All these are above sea level. We also, that is the Sehui area. Tinte, that is 700 meters. And then Atiwa and Achuredu, which is 553 meters, and the Kwasima, which is 776 meters. These hills are capped with iron pans and bauxite deposit. That's why we also area, the Sefi area, all these areas, you have the Awaso bauxite, the Nyinahini areas, and other parts, you have the Atewa areas, you have this bauxite which is more of iron content, which has more of iron content in them. The popular topography over the Takoyan rock is generally ridged and hilly. You hardly find lower elevations or flatlands, extended flatlands. Popular settlements include Omahinku, Kumasi, Sunyane, and Goso. The plateau of the north and northeast, we are looking mainly of the savanna. That is, we are looking at Bole, Wa, Lora to the northeast. We already discussed that. Tumu, Bagatanga, Boko, and Gambaga in the north. Here in the northwest and here in the northeast. The rock of the Savannah high plains are mostly granite. And the denudation here are sheet erosion. You know what a sheet erosion is? Do you know what sheet erosions are? Are you with me, class?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The resulting topography is therefore more gently rolling. So you don't have steep-sided much. That is why when you go to the north, you can see like up to 10 kilometers flatland. Those flatlands are not low-lying areas, so please, they are higher elevation areas. But because it is a plateau, and we know that plateaus are places, are highlands with flat tops. Highlands with flat tops. So when you go to the north, that stretch of land that you see, flat lands that you see, they are rather sitting on a plateau. They are rather sitting on on a plateau. The rocks of the savannah are, yes, okay. The resulting topography, gently sloping with an average elevation rising from 180 to 300 above sea level. Dotted here and there, typically around Tumu, are inselbecks of the Brimian granite. You know, I have explained what inselbecks is to you. You know what inselbeck is. So when you go to the Tumu areas, we have some isolated inselbecks. That's resistive rocks that are still standing, resisting weathering and denudational activities. At Gambaga, remnant of the Voterian Basin present a steep-sided at its northern side. The scarp reaches the height of 226 meters at its highest point. But get to know that with time, these elevations will continue to degrade or will come down because of activities of weathering or because of denudational activities. This region covers about 103,600 square kilometers. Consists of gently dipping of flat-bedded limestone. I have already made mention of it, that when you go to the north and you see that flat land, it's actually a plateau, but flat lands are dominated over there. It is not, please, it's flat land, not a low-lying area. Flat lands doesn't mean a low-lying. Take note of that. It varies in height from 100 to 200 meters above sea level. We are still discussing what? The plateau of the north and northeast. Plateau of the north and northeast. We are looking at this place. Plateau of the north. Plateau of the north and then the northeast. Plateau of the north and then the northeast. We are interested in here. The northeastern part is here. The northwestern or the northern part of the Voterian Basin. The Gambaga escarpment can be found here. You know, when you get the correct map, you will see it. Where you have the Black Water from the north running down to the sea or to the south, we have the Oti River. Mainly, as you cascade down, you'll be meeting more of sandstones. That is, we already said the Voterian Basin. We already said the Voterian Basin is mainly made of what? Sandstone. We've already said that the Voterian Basin is made of what? Sandstone. So when you say Voterian rocks, when you see these Voterian rocks, what comes in mind should be more of a sandstone or a sedimentary rock formation. The ridges and escarpment bordering the Voterian sandstone. One, we have the Mampompraiso Koforidua Ridge. So when you take this place, the Voterian Basin, when you take this place, the Voterian Basin, it is being bordered by these highlands. These highlands is being bordered by these highlands. And note that the reason why here is mainly of sandstone is all these highlands, the nudational activities continues to reduce its height. So through the activities of weathering and mass wasting and surface runoff activities, particles that break down from the highlands continue to fall down into the basin. The basin is already a low-lying area. So particles that break from here continue to fall. Here, all these are higher elevations. And if it breaks, it will automatically fall under the influence of gravity. When it rains, water will run from the top to down to bottom, and then it will be eroding particles, and they will be depositing them in these low-lying areas. And we know that when rock debris, when regolith, weathered particles are carried and deposited at low-lying areas, it forms a sedimentary rock. And an example of those sedimentary rocks are sandstone. That's why we call the Votean sandstone. We have a lot of what we call the sandstone. So if you see this escarpment, ridges and escarpment are high elevations. The Akuapem Togo range is a high elevation. The Gambaga escarpment is a high elevation. So all these high elevations, this one, and this one, the Votean, all these are surrounding the Votean sandstone basin. This ridges, the Akuapem Togo ranges, the Mampong Praeso Koforidua ridge, and then the Gambaga escarpment. These ones, this one, this is the escarpment, this is the Akuapem Togo ranges, this is the Akuapem Togo ranges, and then this is the Akuapem, this is the Mampong Praeso Koforidua ridges. All these denudational activities occurring in all these areas, the denudation activities occurring in all these areas keep on depositing, because the Votean basin is surrounded by this, it keeps on depositing its debris into the basin. It keeps on depositing its debris into the basin. That's why I said with time, if you measure a height of a mountain and you say it is, say, 500 meters above sea level, with time, when you measure it, because of denudational activities, you may be measuring and then it will be like 499 because 1 meter has been eroded. A height of 1 meter has been what? Eroded. Where did the particles go? It went down into the low-lying areas where we have the Votean basin. So in terms of the Votean basin, these islands are located at the south of the Votean basin. This stretch from the Senya Breku near the mouth of River Densu. You know Senya Breku in the central region when you pass Kaswa to the northeasterly direction towards the Republic of Togo and Benin, to the valley of Niger, to the valley of the River Niger. It's a very long stretch of elevation. The rocks are mainly quartzite, phyllite. Quartzites and phyllites are metamorphic. Sandstone, schist, and limestone. Limestone sedimentary, metamorphic. The general elevation is 450 meters above sea level. However, the elevation increases to 500, 600, and 900 meters near the Togo border. That where we have Mount Afajato. Yes, Mount Afajato is 885 meters above sea level in Ghana, and 1,025 meters at Mountain Agu in the Republic of Togo. The popular settlements include Mampong, Akuapem, Manfe, and then Akupong. These are popular areas you can talk of. You can find the Akuapem Togo ranges. When you come to the Mampong Praeso Koforidua range, you can talk of Kentampo, Nkranza, Wenchi, and Yinasu in the, when you are coming from Wenchi, there's a Yinasu over there. Asante Mampong, Abetifi, and Begro in Eastern region and Asante region respectively. And then under the Gambaga scarp, we've already made mention of it. It has an elevation of about 450 meters above mean sea level. We have waters of Ghana. Waters of Ghana. Under the waters of Ghana, We have what we call drainage, river flowing into lakes, river flowing direct into the sea, rainfall over Ghana, soil moisture, underground water resources. Under section 4, that's we are looking at water. You know, this course, like I said last week, is thematic. So when you take one aspect of Ghana, you discuss it into details. You realize that we first took rocks and we discussed the rocks into details. Nothing was missed with it. What we discussed was rocks that can be found in Ghana, the Brimian rock, the Takoyan rock, the Dahomean rocks and stuff. We discussed only that one. We didn't add anything to it. So we grouped that one as one theme. Then we came to the physiological characteristics as in the relief. When we are discussing relief, we didn't discuss anything water. We didn't discuss anything vegetation. We didn't discuss anything people. It is solely relief, highlands and lowlands. Where can it be found? Which part of Ghana can we find highlands and lowlands? One common theme. And now we are at another theme, which is called water. Water that can be found in Ghana. Waters that can be found in Ghana. That's why we call it thematic. Like when you go to church and you are going to have a church program, you say we have what is the theme of the chair of the program? What is the theme of the convention? What is the theme of the year? This is the same theme that we are discussing here. That's what we call thematic. So the first thing we will look at is drainage. Please take this thing very serious. We are left with 15 minutes. I will finish unit for session 4. And then we will use the 1 hour on Wednesday to finish session 5 and 6. Drainage. We have what we call a drainage system. A typical example is this. I will see this. You can see river bodies and their tributaries. You can see river bodies and their tributaries. You can see river bodies and their tributaries. All these areas. This is the Black Water. This is the White Water. This is Uti River. As you come down, you get the main Water River, right? This is the Black Water. This is the White Water, where it emerges. Then the Oti also joins. You get the main Water River. Any water that rains or it comes from any water that comes from out of the earth, like the Kintampo waterfall, that is always coming from the rock and running on the surface. Where is it going? You ask yourself, where is it going? Any water that will rain and will enter into any of these rivers or their smaller tributaries that you see, the smaller ones that you see. This is a river that you see. This is a river, and then the blue lines, small lines, are their tributaries. All these are rivers and their tributaries. You can see all these rivers and their tributaries, or any parcel of water that drains into the major river. We call it a drainage system. We call it a drainage system. And then the total geographical area that contributes that water into that drainage system is called the drainage basin. Please, I'm taking this thing again. Any drop of water, whether rainfall or through spring or through waterfall or water view, that contributes to the waters that we have in all the major rivers here. All the major rivers here. This water is coming here, this water is coming here, this water is coming here. So eventually, all the waters that you will see here or will pass through Adan, will pass through Sogakope, through Adan and enter the sea. All those rivers, all the water you see is being contributed by waters coming from all these stretch. All the tributaries, the small rivers that join a bigger one, and then eventually join a bigger one, and then come and join the white water, and come and join the black water, and come and join the Oti river, and then join the main water river, and some enter into the water lake, and through the water river eventually enters into the sea. It's called a drainage system. A system in such a way that they are linked together. When we say a system, it is interrelated parts that connect and functions to give a common resource. Interrelated part. So that interrelated part, you see this small river here. You see this small river here. It will empty its water into this river, and this river will come and then empty its water here. You see this small river, it will empty its water into the white water, and then the white water the black water, this small water too, will empty its water into the black water. You see this small water here will empty its water into the Oti river, and then it will all come and contribute for us to get that big river body we have at Adan, that very big river. That one, we call it a drainage. We call it what? A drainage. We call it a drainage. So the volume and the level of most rivers vary considerably throughout the year. In the north and southeast, where rainfall is low, several rivers become intermittent. Some become pools or even dry up during long dry season. In the rainfall, they flood their banks. In the forest southwest, that's eastern parts, that's the western region area, the forest southwest, where rainfall is high and well distributed in the year, river flow throughout the year, even when their volumes and level decrease very considerably during the dry season. There are two sources of water for Ghanaian rivers. These are rainwater and water from springs and dumbos, that's splash marshlands. That's why I made mention of springs. That counts and mainly form the waterfalls, and then we have rainfall. Now, let's look at the major rivers and basin. Ghana, the biggest river is the Volta River, and the biggest basin is the Volta Basin. The biggest basin is the Volta Basin. The dominant basins that we know, we have the Volta Basin, we have the Pra Basin, we have the Tano Basin. Yes, we have we have the Volta Basin, we have the Pra Basin, we have the Ankobra Basin, and then we have the Tano Basin. These are the four major basins or watershed we have. All these basins are separated from each other by what we call this, you say divide, but it's called hydrological device. We call it hydrological, the book says device, but we call it hydrological device. It is the hydrological device that determines whether the rainwater that is coming, wherever it will fall, based on the elevation, it will give you where it is going. It will direct the path to know, for you to know where it is going. This flow into the Volta Lake. So this is the pra. Okay, now for this one, I think we can see it's a little bit better. This looks a little bit better. So when you look at the Volta Basin, have you see this stretch, this thing, the dot lines? The dot lines separates. We call it. That's what I'm saying. That we call it a divide. It's a hydrological divide. It separates the Volta Basin. So the Volta Basin, this is the Volta Basin, the entire area here. Every water you see here joins a bigger water. The white Volta, this is the white Volta, this is the red Volta, and then we have the black Volta somewhere. Where is the black Volta? Yeah, the black Volta is also here. You know, all these takes their sources even outside Ghana. They take their sources what? Outside Ghana, mainly from Burkina Faso. And when it enters Ghana, this is Oti River. Oti River also takes a source, I think, from Togo, because this is the Ghana map. Oti takes this thing from Togo, and then it enters Ghana somewhere here within the Oti region area. Yeah, the Pandai area. This river will empty its waters into this one. This river will empty its water into this one. And then this water will empty this river into this one. So eventually you will see that this water, the volume will be increasing. The more waterfall, the more will also empty its waters over here. The black Volta, which takes its source from here, will also empty its water. Then through will also empty its water. So the more you have a lot of tributaries, major tributaries and sub-tributaries, every water coming from all these areas, it passes through here, passes through Ada, and then it enters what? The sea. It passes through Ada, and then it enters the sea. This we call the Volta Basin. It's a very big area. Now, let's come to the Pra River. When you are going to at Shama, you see the Pra at after New Dubiase, Asem Pra, so Adanse Pra, so you see the Pra over there. You see the Pra at Beposo. When you're going to the western region, you see the Pra over there too. And then you eventually meet it at Shama. This is the Pra River. A Num River joins the Pra River. The Brim we have in eastern region that they are destroying with Galamsey will join the Pra River. The other river, which is from my area, this is the Ofin River at Dunkwang area, will come, and then the other river will join. My hometown river we call Kunsi, and then Abumasum, and those rivers, small rivers, or Mohema River, they will all join other river, and then other river also joins Ofin River. Then Ofin River will give its all waters, will empty its all waters into the Pra River, and then it comes down. So any water that falls here around these areas, constitute what we call the Pra Basin. Then we have the Ankobra Basin over here. and we have the Ankobra Basin over here. Then we have the Tano Basin over here. Then we have the Bia Basin over there too. Rivers and their river basins in Ghana. The major river flowing into the Lake Volta, that's the river, the Volta River system. I've already told, that's called the drainage system. The longest and largest of all Ghanaian waters is the Black Volta, much of which whose valley is now flooded by the Volta Lake. Its huge basin contains the Black Volta, the White Volta, the Red Volta, Uti, Afram, Kru, and then the Dakar River. Within all these are major rivers we have in Ghana that empties its water, that forms what we call the Volta River system. According to Dixon and Bennett, it appears that thousands of years ago, the Black Volta flowed into the sea through the Tyne and the Tano River and the Tano rivers in the west. The Tyne River is where we have the Atwenchi area. The Tyne River is Atwenchi area, and then the Tano River, you can also have it at the other stretch. I think Domahinkwe area or so. You can have the Tano River over there. It appears that the White Volta, it is believed that previously the Black Volta was flowing into the Tyne and then the Tano River. This is the Black Volta. This is the Black Volta. You could see. So, and this is the Tyne River. Tyne River is at Wenchi. So you could see that it is not a mistake that possibly there was a time that the Black Volta was running through the joining the Tyne River and then the tunnel. But this is tunnel. So it was possibly so, but probably due to maybe earth movements or geological movements, there was once a change. So please spare me. We will finish this one very soon and then we will close. So the major rivers that constitute what we call the Volta River system, we have the Black Volta, we have the White Volta, we have the Red Volta, we have the Oti, we have the Afram, we have the Pru, we have the Dakar River. It also appears that the White Volta together with River Oti were originally the main rivers that flew into the south, but were also captured by the same tributary whose flow became augmented by the large volume of water supplied by the captured Volta, the Black Volta. So we have what we call river capture. We have what we call river capture. The river capture occurs where a bigger river, through either headward erosion or extend its valleys, will now behead another river. So let's assume that, let me see from here, which river can be, yes. So it is possible, you see, this is a Black Volta. It is possible that Tyne was flowing from here all the way to this place. The river Tyne, which is at Cote d'Ivoire, Sampa, you can also get a Tyne, I think, when we are going to Sampa, you can get a Tyne River there also. After Drobo, yes, I think after Drobo, when we are going to Sampa, you can get a Tyne River there as well. So, you know, when we are going to Sampa, and then that is, you are entering Cote d'Ivoire, it can be possible that this Tyne River was taking its source from here, and then its tributaries, minor tributaries were joining. But the Black Volta increased in volume or had a headward erosion. A headward erosion means where the river was initially starting from, it was able to erode its materials head on to elongate its canal S channel, and then it beheaded the Tyne River. The moment it beheaded the Tyne River, waters that was initially running through the Tyne River channel, the channel, will now be directed into the Black Volta, because the Black Volta has been able to behead. So waters that were supposed to be flowing through here will now divert and will be flowing through here. Will be flowing through here and then joins the main Volta river system. The Volta River, however, is permanent river whose flow into the sea is now regulated by the Bui and Akosombo Dam, and then the Pong Batch. But that's the batch they use to generate electricity. We have the Akosombo, we have the Volta Transport Authority over there. This is giving us power, electricity at Bui. This is giving us power, electricity at Akosombo. That's the Bui Dam and then the Akosombo Dam. The Volta Lake now provides lake transportation between the north and then the south. Popular lake ports include the Yape, Yeji, Kitikrache, and Akosombo. And you know, a lot of these cement factories now transport their cement to the north using the Volta transport system. When you talk of the major rivers flowing direct into the sea, we can talk of the Bia, Tano, Ankobra, and then the Pra. Here are the Bia runs direct into the Pra runs direct into the sea. The Bia runs direct into the sea. Ankobra runs direct into the sea. Tano runs direct into the sea. Minor rivers and basins. We have the Ayensu, the Kakum, and then the Densu. The Ayensu, the Kakum, and then Kakum is found in central region. The Densu and then Ayensu. Densu runs when you are going to Cape Coast before you reach Winneba, where they are doing the new bridge. I think that is River Densu. Yes, at Ocherekon area. That's River Densu. Now, when you look at the inland drainage, all these rivers, they're more or less like the outer drainage. They all empties their water into the sea. But there are some rivers that also empty their waters into an inland drainage. A typical example is the Bosomtwe drainage system. Lake Bosomtwe is the largest natural lake in Ghana, as estimated at 1.07 million years ago, placing it in the Pleistocene period. The interior of the crater, which is 10 kilometers in diameter, is filled with 8-kilometer diameter Lake Bosomtwe. Yeah, so in terms of the diameter of Lake Bosomtwe is about 8 kilometers, but the entire crater is about 10.5 kilometers. The lake is 76.2 meters deep. It's very deep, 76 meters, 76.2 meters deep, and has a rim which is over 304.8 meters above the lake surface and about 20 kilometers in diameter. So this is Lake Bosomtwe. This is about 10-point-something kilometers, and then the water body itself is about 8 kilometers. The water body itself is about 8 kilometers. Its depth is what is referring as about 76.2 meters. So this is the crater, because it is believed that it was a tectonic eruption that occurred, and then it had that part blown off, and water started accumulating in it. We don't have what we call the Volta Lake, Lake Volta. Volta Lake, there are some waters too that also runs through it. soil moisture, when you talk of that, so the Volta Lake is located north of the Akwapim Togo ranges. Damming of the River Volta in southern Ghana at Akosombo formed it. So this is the Volta Lake. I think we have it here. This is the Volta Lake. So you strategically, the water coming from here, when it gains volume, Kwame Nkrumah dam this area so that it will be flowing water into it for power generation and for electricity and irrigational purposes. Please spare me 3 minutes and we will be done. The dam, which is 720 meters in length, 670 meters in length. The length is 670. The length is 670. When you take Bosonke, it's 8 kilometers in diameter. The dam is 670, less than 1 kilometer. In length, with its reservoir provides a high degree of regulation of the water, which at Akosombo has a total capacity of 148 by 109 meter cube. The lake has a surface area of 5,800 square meter and it is one of the largest man-made lake in the world. One of the largest man-made lake in the world. Then soil moisture. When we say soil moisture, that is the total amount of moisture that can be found within our soils. That can later be either converted as evaporation, evapotranspiration. It has the potential to be converted into vapor that's evaporated. It can be evaporated from the soil. Or it also has the potential to have a subsequent movement downwards to add out to the groundwater distance. So soil moisture, when you take any sample, any amount of soil in your hands, any amount of water that is found, the volume of water that is found in that soil is what we call soil moisture. That's what we call what we call soil moisture. Please, okay, let's end here. Let's end our soil moisture. In our next meeting on Wednesday, we will discuss how we will take that one, the remaining one, and then work on it. So